Hi folks, so the planet Pluto, as most of you astrology folk know, those who follow it, practice it, is transiting this year in 2023 and 2024 from Capricorn to Aquarius, from the sign of Capricorn to the sign of Aquarius. Now Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, November 26th, 2008, and Pluto will be in Aquarius till 2043. Now, what is more interesting to me and more relevant to me is there's been a lot of emphasis and a lot of conversation on Pluto entering Aquarius. Well, Pluto is a slow-moving planet, so it's not unusual for its transition from one sign to the other, considering it spends part of the year direct and part of the year retrograde, to take a second, to take a little bit of time. And so Pluto was in Aquarius this year from March 23rd to June the 10th. And between June the 10th and January of this year and January 20th, 2024, so for a significant part of this year, for the second half of this year, at this point it's starting June the 10th to January 2024, and then next year from September 1st, 2024 to November 19th, 2024, Pluto will be finishing up its Capricorn transit. If you know where Capricorn sits in your chart, what house it occupies, what that house stands for, since 2008, Pluto has been working to transform that sector in a way that is best for you. I know that all sorts of negative things are put onto Pluto, and some of them are fair, and some of them are justified, and some of them are important to consider. And indeed, when we look at the new moon in Cancer coming up on July the 17th, we absolutely need to be considering Pluto, because that new moon opposes Pluto. Pluto is also playing a very important part in the astrology of this time, depending on who you talk to and whether people follow the true node or the north node. I'm not going to get into that discussion right now, but the nodes square Pluto either on July 23rd, or is it July 17th? Give me 1 second. Either on July 17th or August the 3rd. Let me just confirm that for you because I don't want to mess that up. Either July 17th on the day of that new moon or August the 3rd. Okay. And the nodes squaring Pluto, as I've mentioned in previous videos, puts pressure on the nodes and us especially to look to and pour ourselves into the north node so that the Plutonian transition can become complete. There's something, as we head into the rest of July, or the next couple of weeks of July and into August, there's a real importance in prioritizing that north node in Taurus moving into Aries. So the eclipses, the eclipse on April the 19th and the eclipse on October the 28th, and this arc that we're in, and the pull in the Taurus and Aries part of our chart so that Pluto can complete its transition. There's a dependency on Pluto being able to successfully complete its transformation of the Capricorn part of our chart. There's a dependency between that happening successfully and the dependency is on us focusing on the north node in a grounded manner and building our strengths and pouring our energy into that part of the chart. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't pour our energy into the Pluto part of our chart, or the Capricorn part of the chart, because when Pluto is wrapping up its transit, it becomes extremely important to aid and to determine what this transformation has been in the Capricorn part of your chart, and to complete it in a way that is beneficial to you. So, because this is when, if you resist the change and the transformation, if you emotionally hold on to things or people or situations that Pluto has been steadily trying to sabotage, remove, destroy, take away from your life, however it had, because Pluto knows, outworn their use to you. They will only be holding back. They will control you. You need to be free to move forward and free to move towards the north node, free to move. What is it that is holding you back? If you are a Capricorn rising, for example, questions on your identity, where you draw your boundaries, how you draw your boundaries, your marriage, your partnerships, where are you held back, if someone or some situation is exercising a certain type of control on you, Pluto will help you manage and complete that transition. But if you resist it for some reason, sometimes, if Pluto's transitioning off fourth house, it can be that we're really attached to a piece of property or a home or something to do with the homeland. If Pluto is transiting the sixth house, it can be that we're resisting somehow making changes to our diet or exercise or health in a way that would be beneficial to us. We could be attached to certain ways and routines of our life that are not serving us. Then Pluto can be quite ruthless. If we do not aid or complete this transformation, then Pluto can be quite ruthless in the lessons that it provides. Further entrapment, control, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, burdensome issues. If we were talking about the sixth house, illness, sorry, I can hear the trash truck doing its job downstairs. So I would really think that it is extremely important to, indeed, I would say that for the rest of the year, if you were to say what is our top priority, the top priority is to help Pluto complete the transition. Right now, part of helping Pluto complete that transition is to lean into the North Node in Taurus and very shortly in Aries. At least, let's just give it till October the 3rd, and let's say for the month of July. There are many other reasons to lean into the North Node, especially the Taurus part of our chart. Not only are we heading to an eclipse on October the 28th, we've also got the Mercury cycle currently underway related to the Taurus part of our chart. And we've got Jupiter there, we've got Uranus there. There's plenty of power, and again, another part of the chart that is seeking a sort of completion with regard to us developing our skills and our strengths and pouring ourselves into that particular part of our chart. But even after that, and from an overall perspective, if you know what transformations Pluto has been, and these are transformations that you can't ignore, transformations, I mean, Pluto sort of takes Saturn's sense of knowing what is right and good for you and ratchets it up even more. Anything that is managing you, controlling you, that you are addicted to, any patterns, any behaviors, any people, any situation, habits, Pluto will really fight to transform those relationships in a way that are good for you. But because the stakes on this kind of transformation are so challenging and so high, and there can be emotional pulls and power controls, and so much work has to be done on ourselves emotionally with some of these transformations, and so much care has to be exercised around the things that we're doing that would be better for us, and our inability often to go in that direction, and our tendency to fall into those patterns that are emotionally addictive, that are not really helping us, that are keeping us back, that Pluto's lessons and the nature of the transformation can be quite wrenching and quite challenging. With Saturn's energy, I've always said with Jupiter and Saturn's energy, it requires partnership and our participation. In Pluto's case, it requires submission and a kind of acceptance and a kind of surrender. Because some of the things that Pluto brings about are just have this enormously fated, destined, can't do anything about this change quality. Can't do anything to fight this. This kind of, an astrologer once described it as the kind of, I'm going to burn down the barn so you can see the moon type of energy. But, if it's a barn that you're attached to, or if it's a barn that you saw yourself living in, or if it's a barn, that can be quite stunning, just to say the least. So I really wanted to do this video because it is not the most time-sensitive priority, arguably, because there are other things that are going to keep coming up that are going to put our attention in different places. But there really, I think, needs to be a very strong and powerful commitment to help Pluto finish its job by the end of next year, 2024. But most especially because Pluto is spending a sustained amount of time till January the 20th, 2024 to do it now. Otherwise, there's a chance or a possibility that Pluto will do its notorious, you didn't listen to me, here's the consequence kind of deals. And I don't really like believing in fear-based astrology. But I think with a planet like Pluto, and it's, I think it's where, and ultimately the transformations are meant to be helpful and require surrender and a change of habits that are ultimately going to be good for you. Then why not commit to it? Why not see what needs to be done to? No one is saying that changing habits or patterns is easy. It is not easy. I made a commitment to try and be asleep at a certain time a couple of weeks ago, and I still have not been able to do it successfully. How difficult would it be to just be done at a certain time, take off your contact lenses, brush your teeth, and put yourself to bed at a certain hour? But if that is not what your propensity is, and that's not what you've been doing, or that's not what it has been illuminating to me, how challenging it is to create behavioral change, and which is why we need things like the eclipses and these heavy hitting planets to come in and give us a sense of consequence, because sometimes we just don't know where something is rolling or where something is going, and these planets are basically trying to intervene to help us to prevent things snowballing into some sort of disaster. So, where is Capricorn in your chart? What transformations have been occurring in that part of the chart since 2008? And what can you do for the remainder of this year, especially, to aid and complete those transformations in a way that it genuinely enhances your life and moves you towards manifesting your goals? I hate that word manifesting, moving towards your goals. It's just become so overused. Okay, worth thinking about, worth considering. Pluto and Aquarius will do the same thing to the Aquarius part of your chart, but be free. Put your attention into the Taurus and the Aries parts of your chart. Move in that direction in a grounded manner with the nodes. You have to be very grounded, know what your requirements are for financial security and all sorts of other types of security, what sort of comfortable lifestyle you want to maintain while you go after the nodes. Otherwise the nodes will just take you on their wild ride, and life will be magical and wild, but it will be stressful and insecure. So you have to be very, very careful with the nodes in that regard. But it is an undeniable calling. It is undeniably the right path, the path of the North Node, both in your natal chart and wherever it is transiting at any given time. That's where you will see development. That's where you will see growth if you pour yourself into that part of the chart in a grounded manner. And as I said, there's a reason to do that right now, because it helps Pluto finish up the transition that it is trying to make. And this new moon in Cancer, opposes Pluto and squares the nodes. So as we head to July 17th, when the nodes are shifting from Taurus to Aries on that day, and depending on how you draw the North Node or calculate, either the square between the Pluto and the nodes is happening on that day, or it is happening on August the 3rd. Irrespective, I think it's fair to say that the July 17th Cancer new moon encodes till the middle of August as part of this new moon cycle, the importance of this square between the nodes and Pluto, which has been operating, one could argue, for much of this year already. I will leave it at that. If you found this useful, please share it, comment on it if there's something you'd, or like it. Click on the subscribe button, the video I mean, and over on top of the subscribe button next to it, there's a bell icon. On top of the bell icon, there's a wiggly bell. Click on that so you'll be notified when I do new videos. Thank you for your support. I think all of that sort of gives the video greater circulation on YouTube, so I'll be grateful for that. My gratitude to everyone who supports this channel. Thank you so much, and I will be back in touch when I do my next video.